Today I'm presenting on credible sources. Have you ever wondered if the source you are using for your essays are credible? Because if they aren't, that would mean that would disqualify whatever you are writing, and thus disqualifying the trust that people have in your writing. And if there isn't trust, no one will work with you. And that is why today I'll be showing you how to find if a source is credible and different ways that a source are non-credible. And to see if a source is credible or not, you'll need the supplies for it. So, first thing and foremost thing you would need is a computer or any kind of electronic device that connects to the internet. And speaking of the internet, what you would need the internet, because if you don't have the internet, you will not be able to search online for the data on if the website is credible. And so the next thing you need is something that's very important, that is the source itself, because if you don't have a source, there would be no point in finding if it's credible or not. And next I'll be talking about the different type of biases that make it non-credible. And the first one would be political bias. And what political bias is that it's when a website leans towards a different political side. Like they might lean towards more to the left or to the right. And an example of how that would affect their writing is that if they lean more towards the right, they might be more inclined to downplay the effects of global warming. But if they're leaning towards the left, they might be more inclined to heighten the effects of global warming. And to find political bias is very easy. All you need to do is really just a simple Google search. Just is the website bias or non-credible? And one of the websites that I really like for this to find if it's credible or not is called mediabiasfactchecking.com. And as the name suggests, all it does is just checks if the media is biased or not. And it gives you a nice spectrum of where that source would fall. Like here, the BBC would fall under left central bias. That's how it would be. And the next bias I would talk about is financial bias. So what financial bias is that the article itself is sponsored by a company for whatever reason. It could be to give a negative viewpoint of another competitor's product, or it can be to boost their own products or to have a better outlook on their product. And it's very easy to find if that source, if the source is sponsored, because it usually says right on side that it's sponsored. Like in this article here it clearly says it's sponsored, so you know that H&M sponsored this video or this article on about recycling your fashion. And it could be not just here, it could be on the right corner or below, anywhere. You just have to see if it has such indication that it's sponsored. And next thing I would talk about is company bias. So what company bias is that is very murky, as it's a combination between political bias and financial bias, because it all depends on because it's all about if the article is fake or not. And the reason and it's very hard to find these type of articles because they hide it really well, and you would need to check on the parent company, the actual website itself, how if it's previously been debunked that they have, or find out that they have fake articles on their website. And that's really how you would see it. And then the next another aspect of company bias to find if it's fake article or not is to check for social media icons. And what social media icons are like these. And if they don't have this, 9 out of 10 times they're fake articles, because if they had social media followings, they would they would be easily debunked and stuff. And if they don't have it, it kind of throws it off. And another is to check the author. You just have to check a Google search on the author, and you'll find out if that author has been found to be lying. And in conclusion, you just really have to watch out for sources that are not credible, because as I said previously, if your source isn't credible, that means your writing isn't credible, and if your writing isn't credible, that means you're not credible. And when you're trying to find sources that are not credible, or checking if they're credible or not, you should check for if they're politically, financially, or company biased. And that's it. Questions?
So, kind of on the same line as sources, have you known anybody who's plagiarized like a news article or a blog before?
Have I personally? No, but I've seen multiple articles that have done this. Like, for example, this article here, the South China Morning Post. This is a company bias because this Chinese scientist did not turn copper into gold, and the reason why it's company bias is it's because it's political and financial. Because politically, because they want to make China look awesome, and like to the international community, and then secondly is because the person who owns South China Morning Post is a Chinese billionaire, and he would, if China becomes more popular, he gets more money, and that is why. And yeah, that answers your question. And then yeah, thank you.